In a world dominated by instant reactions, performative outrage, and compulsive need to be seen and heard, the Sigma male stands out as a deeply unsettling anomaly. Not because he's loud or aggressive, but because he is the exact opposite. He is a human depth charge, detonating not with noise but with silence. His power is quiet, deliberate, and devastatingly effective. What appears to be patience on the surface is, in reality, a finely tuned psychological weapon, an internal kill switch slowly being armed with every passing second. While others broadcast their emotions like neon signs begging for attention and validation, the Sigma male operates with precision of a submarine in warfare, silent, submerged, and capable of striking with absolute accuracy and zero warning. This is not about aloofness or arrogance. It's about an evolved emotional doctrine honed through repeated exposure to psychological warfare, both in personal relationships and professional environments. The Sigma male doesn't merely react. He calculates. He doesn't suppress emotion because he lacks depth, but because he understands the danger of emotional leakage in a world that weaponizes vulnerability. What follows in this exploration is a deep and meticulous dissection of the 12 foundational principles that form the Sigma male's emotional code of conduct, his nuclear doctrine. These are not casual personality quirks or habits of convenience. They are hard-won strategies, refined through betrayal, tested through manipulation, and validated in the crucible of real-world interactions where emotional intelligence isn't a buzzword, but a survival tool. Each principle functions as both shield and sword, guarding his inner sanctum while granting him strategic superiority in any emotional battlefield. To understand the Sigma male is to recognize a new paradigm of strength, one that doesn't shout, doesn't chase, and doesn't flinch. This is emotional mastery at its most dangerous. And for those who underestimate it, the silence is not peace. It's a calm before strategic, calculated destruction. Section 1. The architecture of emotional deterrence. In the realm of emotional intelligence, the Sigma male doesn't simply play defense. He constructs entire systems of psychological architecture designed to prevent emotional exploitation before it can begin. This is the essence of emotional deterrence, a strategic framework engineered to make manipulation not just difficult, but functionally impossible. At the core of this framework lies a powerful combination of self-governance, logic, and long-term pattern analysis that renders traditional emotional tactics, like guilt, pressure, or manipulation, utterly ineffective. 1.1 The Guilt-Proof Fortress. How Sigma males engineer emotional invulnerability. Sigma males aren't just resistant to guilt. They are immune to it, thanks to a premeditated system of mental safeguards. Rather than reacting defensively when accused or manipulated, they neutralize the threat before it ever emerges. Every action they take is subjected to a rigorous internal ethics audit, a 3-stage accountability check that ensures integrity before execution. This means that by the time the outside world offers judgment, the Sigma has already passed the only court that matters, his own. In relationships, this manifests as what could be described as emotional amortization. Each connection, whether personal or professional, is silently assigned a built-in exit cost. Emotional investments are measured against potential liabilities, ensuring that detachment can occur swiftly and cleanly if compromise becomes necessary. And when that time comes, the Sigma invokes the 100% rule. He does not leave situations in a haze of confusion or second-guessing. If he walks away, it's because he has already verified with internal certainty that he is completely justified in doing so. This calculated attachment is exemplified in the case of a corporate lawyer who, after documenting 187 internal ethical violations, resigned with simple post-it note left on his desk. There was no exit interview, no farewell speech, no emotional breakdown, just a silent, strategic severing of ties. No explanation was offered and none was requested. 1.2 The countdown mechanism. Patience as strategic timeline. Many mistake the Sigma male's quiet tolerance for passivity, but in truth, it's the calm of a countdown timer, one ticking towards strategic termination. His patience is not born of weakness or fear, but of calculated observation. This is a 3-phase system built for psychological warfare. Phase 1 is data collection. The Sigma logs every microtransgression, not emotionally, but methodically, like an intelligence officer gathering surveillance. Phase 2 is pattern recognition. where he detects behavioral trends with the precision of an AI algorithm. And in phase 3, if the data confirms disloyalty or toxicity, the Sigma initiates silent termination. This might involve emotional detachment, physical withdrawal, or total communication blackout, but always occurs without drama. Supporting this strategic emotional processing, fMRI studies have shown that Sigma males process betrayal and emotional conflict primarily in the prefrontal cortex, the brain center for logical reasoning and long-term planning, rather than the amygdala, which is tied to reactive emotion. This neurological insight underscores a crucial truth. Sigma males don't emotionally react to betrayal. They strategically respond to it. Section 2, the loyalty paradox. Loyalty to a Sigma male is not a casual currency. It is a thermonuclear element, rare, powerful, and highly unstable if mishandled. When a Sigma commits loyalty to someone, it isn't given lightly, nor is it distributed broadly. Instead, it is concentrated, deliberate, and all-consuming. But this absolute loyalty comes with a paradoxical warning. The deeper the Sigma invests, the more catastrophic the fallout if that loyalty is betrayed. 2.1 The loyalty thermonuclear reaction. For a Sigma male, loyalty begins as an act of conscious, full-spectrum investment. This isn't mere support or friendliness. It is a fusion phase where he channels nearly triple the emotional, intellectual, and strategic energy into those select few he chooses to trust. In this phase, the Sigma becomes not just a friend or partner, but a fortress. He will advocate, protect, and empower those within his inner circle with unwavering commitment. However, as this loyalty approaches critical mass, what might be called a point of no return, any betrayal or significant breach activates a meltdown protocol. This is a reaction of anger or vengeance. It is a full, irreversible emotional shutdown. The Sigma doesn't yell. He doesn't demand apologies. He simply disengages on a permanent level, emotionally decommissioning the relationship like a nuclear plant going offline after core damage. This process is reminiscent of the ancient samurai who, upon experiencing shame or dishonor, would engage in ritual suicide. But the Sigma's code diverges in one critical way. He severs a bond, not himself. The disgrace lies not in what he endures, but in what the betrayer loses, his access, his alliance, and the rare loyalty of someone who does not offer it lightly. 2.2 The emotional black site. When betrayal occurs, the Sigma male does not merely erase the person from his life. He repurposes the betrayal into an emotional black site. This is a secret mental chamber where the betrayer's behaviors, patterns, and tactics are archived like classified files. These records become templates used to refine the Sigma's future threat detection systems. In essence, the person becomes a case study in treachery. Inside this emotional black site, the Sigma doesn't wallow in resentment. Instead, he interrogates the past. He studies each conversation, each deviation, and each red flag that led to the betrayal. The betrayer becomes a mental simulation, used to train the Sigma's emotional reflexes and sharpen his psychological perimeter. He doesn't forget, he upgrades. Former allies often report a chilling realization. The Sigma male, after cutting them off, exhibits uncanny awareness of similar betrayal patterns in others. It feels like deja vu, as if the lessons extracted from the first betrayal are now being used in live tactical application against new threats. This psychological warfare capability turns each emotional wound into a data-driven weapon, further solidifying the Sigma's ability to operate with silent precision and surgical coldness. In the end, the loyalty paradox reveals one immutable truth. The Sigma male's loyalty is as powerful as it is perishable. Once destroyed, it's not repaired. It's encrypted into his operating system and redeployed as strategy. Section 3, the silent warfare playbook. When it comes to psychological combat, the Sigma male does not engage in traditional warfare. He doesn't raise his voice, launch emotional outbursts, or signal intentions. Instead, he operates with a chilling precision that transforms silence into a weapon and absence into a battlefield. His approach is not about dominance through force. It is about supremacy through strategic non-engagement. 3.1 Non-reaction as ultimate dominance. The Sigma male has turned non-reaction into a high art form. What could be described as playing four-dimensional chess in the arena of human interaction. On the surface, he appears calm, disinterested even, But this calm is deceptive. It is the first layer of a complex psychological playbook. At level 1, he maintains composed exterior. The observer, whether a friend, foe, or stranger, sees no emotion, no twitch of discomfort, no spike in behavior. He is unreadable, intentionally so. Behind this stillness lies level 2, a real-time strategy map, where every word, gesture, and micro-expression from the other party is logged with algorithmic efficiency. Once enough data is collected, level 3 begins. Countermaneuvers. These are not retaliations in the traditional sense. They are unseen shifts, an altered schedule, withdrawn communication, changed access permissions. His moves are silent but consequential. Finally, at level 4, the Sigma executes a maneuver akin to a military submarine's legendary Crazy Ivan. A sudden, silent disappearance that causes chaos among those trying to predict or follow him. His dimensional withdrawal leaves the opponent confused, directionless, and playing a game in which their opponent is no longer even present. 3.2 The Vanishing Protocol. One of the most potent tactics in the Sigma male's silent warfare arsenal is the vanishing protocol. Unlike emotional flares or dramatic exits, the Sigma's disappearance is so methodical and complete, it feels surreal. It begins with data purge. Any sentimental reminders, shared photos, text threads, or nostalgic tokens are erased without ceremony. He understands the danger of emotional triggers and removes them like a bomb technician, defusing live explosives. Next comes memory fragmentation. The Sigma doesn't dwell or ruminate. He compartmentalizes. You, the betrayer or obsolete connection, are mentally refiled into the non-relevant archive, like outdated software no longer compatible with his operating system. Finally, the most disorienting phase, reality distortion. In his world, you simply cease to exist. There is no hatred, no grudge, only deletion. People on the receiving end of this vanish often report a haunting sense of invisibility, like they've been airbrushed out of a photograph they once belonged to. What makes this emotional execution even more striking is the neurological backing. Functional MRI scans have shown that Sigma males exhibit zero amygdala activation when shown images of those who once betrayed them. The part of the brain responsible for emotional memory doesn't even register the face. This is not suppression. It is literal emotional deletion. The silent warfare playbook reveals why Sigma males are so often misunderstood and feared. Their refusal to react, their capacity to vanish, and their ability to turn emotional pain into strategic exit plans makes them immune to manipulation and masters of detachment. Where others fight with noise, the Sigma wins with silence. Section 4. The Anti-Manipulation Framework. In a world where emotional leverage and psychological manipulation are currency, the Sigma male stands as an unhackable system, one built not on bravado, but on inner circuitry of logic, discipline, and strategic disinterest. His approach to human interaction is not reactive but engineered, intentionally fortified against exploitation. This section explores the intricately layered mechanisms that form the Sigma male's anti-manipulation framework, which makes him immune to most social engineering tactics. 4.1 The Emotional Firewall. Unlike emotionally porous individuals who are easily hijacked by guilt, charm, or pressure, Sigma males deploy what can only be described as an emotional firewall, a meticulously structured, 7-layer defense protocol that filters every interaction through a logic-first lens. The first layer is the mirroring filter, which reflects manipulative behavior back at the source. Instead of absorbing emotional bait, the Sigma male presents a calm mirror that subtly forces the manipulator to confront their own tactics. Next comes a delay buffer, a 48-hour emotional quarantine. Whether the loaded message, a request, or a sudden conflict, the Sigma refuses to respond impulsively. This window creates emotional distance, draining power from urgency-based manipulation. The motivation scanner is always running, decoding the hidden ask behind any given statement. It allows them to listen for what's not being said and dissect intentions masked in friendliness or concern. The pattern recognizer flags any resemblance to past manipulation attempts. Sigma males build libraries of historical interactions, and they apply this data with machine-like efficiency to preempt repeated patterns of betrayal or coercion. Next, The cost calculator assesses whether engaging in the interaction is worth the energy, time, or attention. If the transaction is emotionally expensive and of little gain, it's dismissed outright. Then, the outcome simulator runs 3 potential futures for any given decision: best case, worst case, and most likely scenario. This gives the Sigma a predictive edge, allowing him to respond in a way that maximizes outcome with minimal disruption. Finally, the action selector chooses a response path that delivers maximum impact with the least emotional or strategic cost. It's never about winning arguments. It's about choosing a course that renders manipulation ineffective. This multi-layered system is not theory, it's battlefield tested. One real-world corporate example highlights a Sigma CEO who, upon detecting the early signs of a hostile takeover, activated his emotional firewall. Instead of reacting, he resigned strategically, triggering a chain reaction that collapsed the company's stock price by 42%, effectively neutralizing the threat and protecting his team from acquisition fallout. For point 2, the indifference engine. The backbone of the Sigma's defense is the indifference engine, a mental mechanism that converts potential emotional triggers into inert data points. It creates a form of emotional superconductivity, frictionless interaction, zero attachment to ego-based reactions. The Sigma begins with cognitive reframing, interpreting personal slights or conflicts as neutral information, useful feedback for future strategy rather than personal affronts. He doesn't get angry, he logs the data. Through temporal distancing, he imagines himself 6 months in the future, looking back at the present conflict with clarity. This foresight strips the moment of urgency and emotion, anchoring decisions in long-term perspective rather than short-term heat. And finally, he activates biological override, using breathwork and mindfulness techniques to interrupt the body's cortisol response. He can quite literally halt the fight-or-flight reflex in real time, staying in command of his internal state. This isn't just psychological bravado, it's measurable. In controlled studies, Sigma-type individuals displayed 27% lower cortisol levels during conflict scenarios compared to the average male, indicating superior capacity to remain composed under pressure. Together, the emotional firewall and indifference engine form a nearly impenetrable anti-manipulation matrix. The Sigma male isn't cold by nature, he's just engineered to avoid being burned. While others are pulled like puppets by invisible strings, he sees the strings, the puppeteer, and the stage, and simply walks off it. Section 5, the deterrence doctrine. For the Sigma male, power isn't projected through loud declarations or overt dominance. It's encoded in silence, ambiguity, and strategic consequences. His deterrence doesn't come from threatening others, but from maintaining an aura of quiet, calculated potential. People think twice before crossing him, not because he postures, but because his principles are consistent. His reactions are unpredictable, and his boundaries are enforced with surgical precision. This section explores how the Sigma male uses deterrence as both a shield and a psychological weapon. 5.1 The Deterrence Trinity. At the core of the Sigma male's personal security system is what can be described as the deterrence trinity, a 3-pronged psychological mechanism that ensures he is both respected and left unprovoked. The first pillar is unpredictability. Sigma males never fully reveal their emotional range, intellectual capacity, or strategic intent. They intentionally maintain a variable profile that prevents others from ever fully understanding their limits. This mystique acts as a natural boundary. Those around them are cautious because they never know what a Sigma might be capable of doing when provoked. The second pillar is credibility. Unlike those who bluff or make hollow threats, every boundary the Sigma sets comes with 100% enforceability. If he states that something is unacceptable, he has already mentally mapped out the consequences and has the will to follow through without hesitation. This builds a reputation of unwavering integrity. His no means no, and his tolerance is never a bluff. The third and final pillar is finality. Once a boundary is crossed or a relationship terminated, the consequences are absolute. Sigma males do not revisit, reopen, or renegotiate what has already been decided. There are no second chances, only permanent exits. This principle of finality reinforces their deterrence power. People understand that with the Sigma, there are no emotional appeals or reversals once the threshold is passed. This triadic structure is comparable to a geopolitical nuclear triad, land, air, and sea-based deterrent systems designed to ensure no adversary can strike without inevitable, devastating retaliation. Similarly, Sigma males are impossible to pin down or completely disarm. Any attempt to manipulate, disrespect, or betray them activates a response no one sees coming, until it's too late. 5.2. The reputation architecture. Much of the Sigma male strength lies not in action, but in perceived capacity. They construct a psychological mystique that allows them to navigate social hierarchies without unnecessary confrontation. This reputation architecture is both a defense mechanism and a power amplifier. The first structural element is strategic ambiguity. Sigma males rarely reveal their full thoughts, goals, or emotional positions. This keeps people guessing and prevents them from forming exploitable predictions. By staying just outside the realm of total understanding, the Sigma remains untouchable. Next is controlled exposure. While remaining enigmatic, Sigma males reveal just enough competence or resolve to prevent others from underestimating them. Whether it's an unexpected insight in a meeting or calm defiance in the face of pressure, these calculated reveals remind others that the Sigma is not to be misjudged. Finally, silent enforcement. Sigma males rarely brag or explain their actions. When consequences are delivered, they often come through indirect means: social fallout, strategic withdrawal, or letting someone face the natural results of their behavior. Often, third parties observe the fallout and spread the story, enhancing the Sigma's mystique without him ever needing to speak. A powerful example is the case of an unassuming office worker, described as quiet and detached, who, with a single raised eyebrow in a tense team meeting, caused an ongoing harassment campaign to cease completely. No words, no accusations, just a signal of quiet authority backed by the weight of everything that remained unsaid. In this way, the Sigma male doesn't need to assert dominance. He simply isn't to be tested. His reputation does the heavy lifting. His silence speaks louder than threats. And his deterrence doctrine ensures that his boundaries, once established, are never crossed again. Section 6. The mastery of exit strategies. In a world where most people fear endings, Sigma males treat exits as tactical maneuvers, engineered with precision, executed with discipline, and designed to leave lasting psychological impact. Exiting is not retreat for the Sigma. It's a form of power projection. When he leaves, he doesn't just disappear. He rewrites the emotional terrain he vacates. This section explores how Sigma males perfect the art of leaving with zero emotional residue and maximum psychological influence. 6.1. The Ghost Protocol. When a Sigma male decides to exit a relationship, workplace, or social circle, he doesn't storm out or leave dramatic notes. He initiates a phase withdrawal sequence known as the Ghost Protocol, a methodical 5-stage operation that removes his presence with surgical precision. The first stage is energy withdrawal. This involves reducing interaction frequency, less communication, fewer reactions, and a noticeable shift in emotional investment. It's subtle, often leaving others unsure whether the Sigma is truly pulling back or just preoccupied. Next comes the information diet. Here, the Sigma stops sharing personal updates or emotional cues. Conversations become functional, surface level, and devoid of intimacy. Those around him suddenly realize they no longer know what he's thinking or planning. The third phase is context removal. The Sigma begins avoiding shared environments, physical spaces like offices or social gatherings, and digital ones like group chats or collaborative forums. He eliminates overlap, ensuring the relationship can no longer thrive through proximity. Then follows digital erosion. Without fanfare, he reduces his online presence. Posts become rare, DMs go unanswered, and status updates disappear. This erases his digital signature without creating drama, making it hard to track or reach him. Finally comes final silence. The Sigma reaches zero response threshold. No explanation, no closure, no acknowledgement. The ghost is complete. This process mirrors Special Forces escape and evasion tactics, designed not only for escape, but to leave no trail, no vulnerability, and no opening for pursuit. 6.2. The Afterlife Effect. Unlike ordinary disengagements, the Sigma male's exit creates a psychological vacuum. It's not just about disappearing. It's about engineering a legacy that lingers in the minds of those left behind. This lingering presence is what's known as the afterlife effect. The first outcome is regret maximization. Those who mistreated or underestimated the Sigma are forced to witness his continued growth and success from afar. Every achievement becomes a silent reminder of what they lost access to. Then there's access impossibility. The Sigma doesn't just burn bridges. He chemically vaporizes them. Even if someone tries to reconnect, they find no emotional opening, no shared ground, and no way back into his sphere. Lastly, the Sigma male enters myth-construction. His silence, combined with visible evolution, turns him into a legendary figure in the memories of others. He becomes a cautionary tale, a what if whispered among former circles, a person whose boundaries, once violated, left scars in silence. This afterlife effect is so potent that documented cases exist where former friends, colleagues, or partners have experienced anxiety or obsession upon seeing the Sigma's unbothered success online. The more he thrives, the more his absence haunts. For the Sigma male, departure is never an act of weakness. It is a final, undeniable assertion of strength. He doesn't just leave people. He rewrites the story they tell themselves about him. Conclusion: the Sigma male's ultimate weapon. The true power of the Sigma male lies not in aggression or brute force, but in his unparalleled ability to redefine the very dynamics of reality. Unlike those who respond to conflict with heated arguments or emotional eruptions, the Sigma male executes a strategy so subtle, so internally fortified, that by the time his opponent realizes what has happened, the game has already ended. He does not seek victory through confrontation. Instead, he restructures the emotional battlefield so that any attempt to provoke him becomes self-defeating. The more someone tries to elicit a reaction, the more they expose their own desperation and emotional instability. In this recalibrated landscape, the Sigma doesn't need to fight. His refusal to engage becomes its own weapon. His silence, rather than signaling weakness, morphs into a psychological mirror that forces others to confront their own irrelevance. The quiet absence of validation, reaction, or acknowledgement becomes a kind of torment that no amount of pleading or provocation can penetrate. What's most unsettling to those who encounter a Sigma's emotional disengagement is that their presence is no longer canon in his life story. It's as if they never existed. In the Sigma's world, people don't get written out, they get erased entirely. He doesn't maintain emotional archives of grudges or nostalgic longing. He performs complete system purges, rewriting his psychological code without backward compatibility. This isn't coldness, this is controlled evolution. At the heart of the Sigma male's strength is a psychological truth few can grasp. He has transcended the primitive responses of fight or flight. He doesn't engage and he doesn't flee. Instead, he activated a third state, strategic disappearance. He dissolves in the emotional plane altogether, leaving no hooks for manipulation, no strings for control, no trails for pursuit. In doing so, he denies the world the one thing it craves most from emotionally sovereign individuals: access. So when someone pushes a Sigma male, when they lie, betray, manipulate, or try to diminish him, they're not up against a man who will lash out or retreat. They're facing something far more terrifying: the void, a vacuum of emotional response where their significance once existed. And in that void, all their efforts collapse inward, feeding on their own energy, until nothing is left but the haunting realization that they no longer matter. This is a Sigma male's ultimate weapon: not power over others, but complete power over himself. His ability to disappear emotionally, psychologically, and socially is not just a defense mechanism. It's a declaration of absolute sovereignty. Do you resonate with the ideas I shared in this video? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're interested in more content about Sigma males, explore the other videos on this channel. Thanks for watching.